I am very serious here. Do not take a shot every time Mr. Freeze does an ice pun. You will die. This is not the movie Beer Fest. Greetings, my fellow nerds. I'm Chris, and welcome back to Dees Nerds. And today we're going to be watching and reviewing Batman and Robin. Now, if you've been following this series, we've been going through the live-action Batman films. We did Batman 1989, Returns, Batman Forever, and now we are definitely on what we would unequivocally call the worst of the Burton Schumacher quadrilogy. Really, honestly, it's the worst live-action Batman, period. It's Batman and Robin. So I thought we'd shake it up. I just recently kind of did a watch-along for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 movie. So I thought we'd just kind of do the same thing with Batman and Robin because I had so much fun doing the Turtles movie that way. I just figured we'd kind of do a review of Batman and Robin and also kind of a watch-along as well. Alright, so hey, a frozen bat symbol must involve something to do with ice. What do you think? I remember being so excited for this film whenever it first came out. I gotta say, one thing you cannot fault the film for, the score is absolutely fantastic. Another thing too, I really do like the logo. They kind of taken both the Robin symbol and the bat symbol and put them together. I always thought that was a nice touch. Bat nips galore and butt and crotch shots for the win, right? All right, now I have to say this. Yeah, bat nipples. What else can you say? It's a misstep. One thing I will say, I do really like Robin's costume in this. It very much has strong echoes of Nightwing. Honestly, if they take the nipples off, I think that's actually the best Robin live action suit I've seen. It's still really good. Can we talk about this Batmobile? I'm sorry, this Batmobile is just horrible in my opinion, and it looks like a toy. And I think Joel Schumacher said on the special features here that they basically the message he got from the studio was to make it more toyetic. There is no way that Batman would design a Batmobile to look that way. The only way that it looks that way is for it to be a toy design that looks flashy for like 7-year-olds just go goo goo gaga over. Besides, Batman's not even like enclosed in the Batmobile. He's like right in a convertible. Like, he's completely exposed. Get a sniper, he's gonna take the dude out. I do really like the Robin cycle here. It's very cool. Generally, anything with Robin in this film looks pretty good. Michael Goff, just a legendary actor. Oh no, Alfred's in pain. Once again, you don't need like a supervillain, you just need a sniper. I will say I really hate that they turned Pat Hingle's Commissioner Gordon just a push the button and get Batman on the case. I always prefer to have Gordon be more of an ally to Batman and more of a partner to Batman, and he's not. But then again, if you think about it, especially in Forever and Batman and Robin, he basically becomes very similar to the Commissioner Gordon from the 1966 show. As a matter of fact, if you start to look at this film as an unintentional homage to the 66 show, it is more watchable. Okay, I will straight up defend Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. The casting choice was perfect. Unfortunately, all they did was give the dude ice puns to say throughout the whole film. I think pretty much if you take a shot every time he says an ice pun, you'd probably be dead by the end of the movie, so I don't recommend it. I will say I do like Mr. Freeze's suit though. It looks really cool. Matter of fact, I think this film overall is shot really well. There's a lot of great color to it, and it really pops on what I'm seeing here. You don't see this on here because I've changed the footage and everything so it, so that they can't say that I'm just showing you the movie. But on the HDR here really does help with that. It looks really good. Okay, seriously, like if you saw that there, like when Robin makes his entrance, it makes a like Robin logo hole. It's like, what was going on there? I can't even like think where that's even logical. I gotta say, like some people talk about, George Clooney, and even George Clooney will really talk bad about how, he was just not the right fit. I think playing an older Batman that's kind of reconciled his demons and what's happened in his past, I think overall he actually was a good choice. He's probably going to be the weakest live action Batman that you'll ever find. But I think that's more the movie itself. I think him as a casting choice is actually not that bad. And I actually feel really sorry for him because I think given the right script, he could have been a great Batman. Because you see him in like a movie like From Dusk Till Dawn where he's playing this grizzled criminal kind of character. He could definitely play that sort of unhinged kind of Batman really well too. It's just kind of a shame that he got this instead. And so now, obviously, like this again, it's a 1966 homage, because I can think of no other version of Batman where like a fight between the villains would turn into what's essentially, you know, a hockey scene. I mean, it's like, it doesn't make any sense unless you look at it as a 66 parody.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
I am very serious here. Do not take a shot every time Mr. Freeze does an ice pun. You will die. This is not the movie Beer Fest. I get it. It turned into a hockey game, but seriously, this has gone on too long. I remember watching the special features. Chris O'Donnell basically said they felt like they were just filming a 2-hour toy commercial. And I mean, it's like you can just see every single design, every vehicle, you know, from Mr. Freeze's vehicle to the Batmobile to the Robin cycle. Everything is designed to be a toy. Robin seriously just said a bat bomb. This is totally like watching a 2-hour episode of the 66 show. And now, because like, you know, snowboarding and different things were cool back during that time, which they still are. I mean, but you've got to have them basically snowboarding and skydiving. I mean, it's just, you know, so cool, right? Rad, extreme. Oh my gosh, we just had a cowabunga moment. You are not Michelangelo, dude. Now see, I like that, you know, Mr. Freeze can basically take the freeze gun and slow his descent. Kind of reminds me of Batman the Animated Series. Speaking of Batman the Animated Series, it's pretty obvious that, you know, they took this version, that version of Mr. Freeze and tried to put him in live action form. And for the most part, they do okay with it, but, you know, it's really sad that you go from that iconic episode, you know, Heart of Ice, to this. I mean, it does okay, but it's a pale comparison. I gotta give Mr. Freeze some credit here. Like, he creates a completely clear window-like piece of ice just by blasting that. That takes some effort. Like, seriously. He just picks up Robin like he weighs like 2 pounds. And it's like, oh, well, you know, clearly you're like, you know, what, 180, 200 pounds or something like that. But, you know, he just picks him up like, oh, I gotta go take Robin, go put him on the back of the pickup. So again, another casting defense right here. I think Uma Thurman was a fantastic choice as Poison Ivy for that time period. She's a fantastic actress, of course, you know, I mean, all the great movies that she's been in, all the great roles. I mean, she's iconic. Again, it's just like everything's taken and just like turned up to like 11. Like, it's not even to 11, it's like to 20. And so she is just overacting and everything. Same way with Arnold as Mr. Freeze. He's overacting in everything. And it's clear, like, you know, Arnold's a great actor. Uma Thurman's a great actress. It's clear that they were doing this because they were directed to do so. And I don't want to speak ill of Joel Schumacher. I kind of defended Batman Forever. It's got some stuff I don't like in it, but I think overall it's still a very watchable Batman movie, and I still think it's a pretty good Batman movie. But, you know, that lays at his feet. And, you know, I really recommend watching the special features on this film. If you have like the Blu-ray set or DVD set where it has the kind of documentary that goes into this, I really recommend it, because Joel Schumacher goes into everything that went into the making of this movie. First of all, they came back and they shot way too fast after Batman Forever. Second of all, you know, they shot so fast really they couldn't get Val Kilmer back. And he basically kind of turned it over to the studio and just basically did whatever they told him to do. He accepts full responsibility for that, but, you know, at the end of the day, that's where a lot of these bad decisions came from. It was like, okay, if Batman Forever did good, then if we go even farther in that direction and take it even more to the extreme, then it's going to be even better. It's going to make even more money. And that's not what happened. And it's kind of hard to forgive, you know, anybody that was involved in making this film with not seeing, like, this is not going to end well. Okay, my biggest sin, it is not the bat nipples in this film. It's not, you know, any of the design choices. It is what they did to Bane. Bane is one of Batman's greatest villains, and they turned him into this dumb, lumbering henchman. It is almost a crime of humanity what they did to him. I cannot forgive it. I'm so happy that we got to The Dark Knight Rises and Tom Hardy played Bane. It's like we got to wash the taste out of our mouths from this atrocity. It's like, Bane is supposed to be like really intelligent. And he's supposed to just test Batman to his limits, not just mentally, but physically as well. I mean, he's the one that broke the bat. And, in this, he is just dumb on a level that, like, I mean, he's the dumbest Batman villain of all time in this one. Pamela, I mean, the other dude was like working in the next room. You mean nothing ever came up until this moment?
You won't be able to get a job teaching high school chemistry.
What's wrong with teaching high school chemistry? I would love to see them take another crack at Mr. Freeze in live action, because I think that story is so tragic and is so good. I mean, it would make for a really compelling film if they can work it in such a way where they're not just, doing a rehash of Heart of Ice. I can see in this film where Dick Grayson would be and Bruce would be at loggerheads, because look, I mean, at this point in time, in this, he's probably about that age where he would break off and become Nightwing anyway. It's kind of interesting that they basically had a Nightwing-esque design for the suit in this one as well. I mean, there eventually comes a point where, Dick just outgrows Bruce and he needs to go do his own thing. I feel like in this scene, they kind of just did the she's all that kind of reveal to make, Uma Thurman so beautiful all of a sudden. It's like they took the the glasses off and everything, and oh wow, she's hot. Go figure.
I think I've had a change of heart.
I will give major props again to the score. The score is absolutely fantastic. I mean, that kind of like almost noirish kind of jazzy feel underneath this to kind of give Pamela and Poison Ivy that seductive quality. It definitely is a win.
I'm poison.
Okay, so how did she know that she was poison? Like, she hadn't tested it out, she hadn't done anything, but it's like she went through all that, she had all the toxins dumped on her, and then she comes back up and she's like, oh, well, my lips are filled with venom and I can do all this stuff. I don't know. I mean, she must be really self-aware in that moment. I don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I always thought this scene was pretty funny. I mean, just seeing all those henchmen trying to sing along with all this while Mr. Freeze is directing them. I mean, it's humorous. It's kind of out of step for what you would think that character would be, but it's humorous. Vivica A. Fox cameo here. Diamonds have to be like the most expensive source of fuel ever. I will not do an impersonation of Arnold Schwarzenegger in this video. I gotta say, one thing that they did not get wrong, they completely understood Freeze's motivations. They completely understood his background and what he's seeking out to, and that does make him a very sympathetic villain. So I'll give Joel Schumacher credit for all day for that. It's like seriously distressing no matter how many times I watch this movie, that Alfred is clearly sick, and you're just like, Alfred can't be sick. This is kind of partly really frustrating on my part. And of course we'll go throughout the movie and they'll do it, but I mean, really Batgirl here is just a wasted opportunity. First of all, because you sidelined Gordon so much, you can't like introduce Barbara Gordon, so you've got to change it to, it being, Alfred's relation, which granted does kind of bring her more into the Bat family, and so that's not really the worst part. The worst part is that they really turn her into Batgirl. She really doesn't have any training. She can like ride motorcycles and she can do some other like kind of fight moves and stuff like that, but she's really not like trained to be a crime fighter. And so it doesn't feel earned. It feels forced. It's nothing against Alicia Silverstone. She is absolutely I think again another great choice. I don't think Joel Schumacher had a problem with casting in this film. Her as Batgirl, Clooney as Bruce Wayne and Batman, Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. They're not bad choices. I mean, at that point in time in 1997, those were like some of the biggest stars in the world and some of the greatest actors and actresses in the world. It's just all in the execution and the choices and everything else that really bring this film down. It's like, oh, she's in a leather jacket. She's trouble. I gotta say, you can call me a weenie all you want to, but there is no way that I would ever trust tying bed sheets together to climb out a window. Unless it was like a life or death situation, I would never trust it. I mean, okay, why would you have just like a random statue dude holding up like two orbs? That's not like a street light. Again, like the design choices on this, I just don't get. Oh no, Gossip Gertie. Oh gosh, I might as well take an ice pick and put it in my temple. You know, it was mentioned in the comments, you know, that was Bob Kane's wife, and I'm very well aware of that. And in these special features that, you know, she's kind of interviewed for in a couple of these, and she seems like a very sweet lady, and you know, no disrespect is intended towards her, but again, it's just like, oh Brucey, oh what are you doing, Brucey? It's like, oh my gosh, like I've never I've never wanted to throttle someone more than her. Maybe Umbridge from Harry Potter, but I mean, it's just so annoying. And granted, that's probably what they were going for. If so, they succeeded. Great job. What is it about villains that have to like outwardly express and like give these big monologues? Guys, I don't know what is going on here. If we ever do a ranking of the Batman live action films, there's no spoiler on what the worst one is. It's this one by a large margin. First of all, I don't think I would be like enraptured by this ape doing this dance. I'd be like, what is going on? I gotta say, the choice to do like an instrumental version here of the song Poison Ivy is a wonderful choice. Once again, this score is really good. It just, I mean, the off-color puns and everything there, I'm just like, oh gosh. So if you ever had any faith at this point in the movie that this movie is going to be able to redeem itself, your hopes are about to be dashed completely right now. The Batman Forever credit card. So by this film, this is now the third straight film where we've had two villains team up against Batman. So we had Catwoman and the Penguin in Batman Returns, Two-Face and the Riddler in Forever, and now this one. At this point, it's just like, okay, try something new, please. It's like, okay, one thing I do appreciate here is that they're kind of following through with this idea that, you know, Bruce and Batman doesn't really trust Robin that much, and wants to protect him more than trust him. So right here, of course, disables his motorcycle so he can't make the jump. It's kind of like the idea of like, you know, anytime you have like, you know, like a parent-child relationship or like a mentor-mentee relationship, there is a point in time to where you either are smothering them too much or you need to let them go. I gotta say, that is a very cool looking jewel case for a CD. One thing that I will not fault this movie for, and one thing that I think it does very well, honestly, this might be the best that it's done throughout the Burton Schumacher quadrilogy, is the relationship between Bruce and Alfred, and the scenes between Bruce and Alfred are just wonderful. I mean, I will take that to the bank. It is just a joy watching both George Clooney and Michael Goff go back and forth. They bring him in an old refrigerator. That's just awesome. Okay, now this is an awesome scene. Like, you know, where he, you know, hello, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Freeze. Learn it well. That is really cool. As well as is this part where he tries to escape, but he gets out of the cold beam. When he turns around here, that's like a legitimately awesome makeup job here. Like right now, yeah, this, I mean, that is just cool. This whole scene here, this is really cool. This is actually one of my favorite scenes in the whole film. Honestly, I didn't realize that they broke into a hot topic. I mean, geez, if you ever wanted proof that this was filmed in the late 90s, so there you go. Generally not a good idea if you're thinking about another woman while you're talking to your fiance, or I guess in this point, not even fiance, girlfriend.
You just called me Ivy. Who's Ivy?
All right, you know it's the 90s when you've got that sweet Coolio cameo. All right, hey, Father of the Year right here. Gotta say, the angel helmet, pretty cool. All right, so since this is the last movie of the Burton Schumacher quadrilogy, you know, I'll ask you guys a question, because I kind of go back and forth on it myself. You know, are the Burton films and the Schumacher films all one universe or one storyline, or are they, you know, kind of separated? You know, Batman 1989 and Batman Returns is its own thing, and Batman Forever and Batman and Robin is its own thing. I can kind of make two different cases. First of all, you know, Gotham looks just vastly different. I mean, granted, it changed from 89 to Returns quite a bit, but it really changes in Batman Forever and then, you know, going on into Batman and Robin. So, I mean, it's just vastly different. It's almost like it's two completely different cities. Obviously, the change from Michael Keaton to Val Kilmer and then to George Clooney. So I can see that, you know, the fact that, you know, Billy D. Williams is Harvey Dent in Batman 1989. And then, of course, you have Tommy Lee Jones, who's a completely different race and much older, playing him, playing Harvey Dent in Batman Forever. So, I mean, that kind of, I can see a lot of things that make sense for it to be completely separate. Now, things that go in its favor for it being all just one thing. You know, Alfred is the same throughout all four movies. Commissioner Gordon is the same throughout all four movies. In Batman Forever, they make a reference, or Dr. Chase Meridian makes a reference to him to Batman liking skin tight vinyl and a whip. Obviously, a hard reference to Catwoman. So, I mean, there's enough there that you could say yes, it is, and enough that you could say no, it isn't. That's just something to think about. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. His ice carving skills are just like pro level awesome. Gotta say, love the homage back with Two-Face and Riddler outfits in the criminal property locker. Although I gotta say, if Two-Face's suit is in there, does that mean that he's in Arkham? Because I thought he died. Or they just have it just to have it? I'm not sure how that works. I have many questions about that, but I really don't want to waste too much time talking about it. But just things that I think about. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Just the scenes between Alfred and Bruce in this are just top notch. It's clear that, like, yes, Alfred is Bruce's butler, but they are family. So here's my thing. They know, like, they tell by smelling like the pheromone dust, they know that it's poison ivy, and yet they still let it control them. Okay, now that would suck to get dropped into that, because that just doesn't look like something that cleans off that easily. Arnold Schwarzenegger's delivery right here is just absolutely awesome, and this actually shows like the potential that he has as Mr. Freeze in this. He is absolutely amazing. No one should be shocked that Alfred has the same disease that Freeze's wife has, and that he has an early stage of it which Freeze has learned a cure for.
I am the commissioner of the police. I have the keys right here in my pocket. Would you like to see it?
Pat Hingle deserved better. I gotta say, I watched this movie back in December, actually, whenever I got this 4K set, and so I'm rewatching it now. It's been, a little over a month since I watched it last. And it's kind of hard for me to get through it this time.
No matter what they tell you, Mr. Bane, it is the size of your gun that counts.
Oh my gosh, please stop with the innuendo. I can't take anymore. I love this scene in here because finally, after all the bickering back and forth, Bruce kind of drops his guard a little bit, drops the protective kind of instincts, and really tries to reach Dick man to man. Okay, this is a cool shot. I mean, with the way the lights come in and everything, that's a pretty cool shot, I gotta admit. Oh, hope that's not a security beam that's cutting her off. Oh. You know, this had to be a Max Headroom ripoff moment here. We have to have a suit up scene for Barbara as Batgirl. And of course we have to be equitable and give her a butt shot and a chest shot. I mean, of course we have to do that. It's only fair. I don't feel like Alfred would be like, oh yeah, Barbara, you should totally just go out there and fight crime with Batman and Robin. It's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, you race motorcycles. Oh, what else do you do? Oh, you know a couple of judo moves. Yes, you should totally do that. Like, I feel like Alfred is all... it's almost like on par with letting Vicky Vale in the Batcave as far as decision making goes. Psych. I guess, oh my gosh, he's got it so figured out. But here's the thing, like, when you kiss someone, like that, if it's poison, I'm assuming it doesn't go through the lips. I'm assuming it goes through the mouth. That still wouldn't be an issue if you're exchanging saliva, right? It's like, wait a minute, that's getting awful close. Oh no! They decided, okay, we're gonna go get Freeze, so let's go back to the Batcave, get new vehicles, change outfits to whole different outfits, and then go battle Freeze. Again, it's another excuse to sell action figures. It's like, oh, we gotta have Batman in a different suit. We're not gonna explain why he needs a different suit. We're just gonna do it because it's gonna sell action figures. Now, I will admit, I really do enjoy the bat suit here. It looks kind of cool. As a matter of fact, I do have the Funko Pop right here of that. I do really enjoy it. It is a cool design, and of course, like, there's the back of it. But and of course, it does kind of ape very strongly the sonar suit from Batman Forever. Like a lot of the design work with the really big bat symbol there, and like the working here on the cowl. So it makes a lot of sense that they would kind of use that design again. I gotta say, as far as like kind of final end game kind of things, I mean, there are worse things. I mean, but it just, at this point, it's just kind of meh. I'm just kind of ready for the movie to be over. I will say the miniature work on this right here is really cool.
You're pretty good at this, little girl.
Well, watch and learn, little boy.
Burn. I think the thing that I keep coming back to with this film is that there's a good skeleton to it. I think there's a lot of good that this film could have done, but I think it was rushed, and I think it was made with the idea of selling toys. Because you have a lot of you have the Freeze character, which has so much depth there, and you have the idea of Robin wanting to be looked at more as a partner and be trusted more as an equal to Batman, and you have kind of the Poison Ivy angle, which also seems pretty compelling, and then you have the introduction of Batgirl, and then you have these great actors in these roles. It makes complete, and then of course you have also Alfred dying. There's some compelling things in that would have made a compelling movie if the execution had been better. And that's what failed here, is execution, and really the design, really just trying to be a 2-hour toy commercial. You wonder what might have been had Joel Schumacher kind of put his foot down a little bit more and said, hey, let's take a little bit more time, let's hone the script a little bit more, let's do everything let's do this right. And I think they would have put a better product out there, and I think it would have been compelling, and I think it would have at least been as good as Batman Forever. A lot of people like to equate Batman Forever and Batman and Robin as kind of like equally bad, and I completely disagree with that. Batman Forever is by far the better movie. This is by far the weakest one. There's no question in my mind about it. That being said, this is actually... it is still entertaining. I know I've ripped it to shreds throughout this whole movie. I've ripped it to shreds, but it is still entertaining, and I still will watch it. I don't skip it. It's not like I watch Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and then just forget this one. I always enjoy revisiting this one. Now, I think the mistake I made is that I've watched it within a month. That's a little too much. I think once a year might be enough to quench my thirst for Batman and Robin. All right, so I would love to hear your comments on Batman and Robin. I think I'm definitely not in the minority. I think I'm pretty much in the majority about this being a pretty weak film. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you like this channel, you like what we're doing here at Dees Nerds, please subscribe to our channel and ring the bell icon so you know whenever we have new videos coming out. Also, we are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, so if you miss us in between videos, you can visit us there, and we post content pretty much daily. And we also have merch, so we'll put our Teespring link down in the description, so you can go there and peruse our offerings and buy a shirt or a mug or whatever. We just greatly appreciate it. Guys, it's been kind of fun doing this. We did this with the Turtles movie from 1990. We did this with Batman and Robin. Now this has been a lot of fun doing it this way. So I think this may be a way that we continue doing it. But if you have any thoughts or anything on what you'd like to see me do, kind of a watch along for, please just let me know. So until next time, I'm Chris. We are Dees Nerds. You guys have a great, safe rest of the day. Bye.